So the mind's really the complicated thing in a sense, and it's also kind of a simple thing. But the mind can definitely feel complicated, and at times the mind can justify things in all sorts of ways. And you may have experienced this. You probably have experienced this many times in your life, where the mind justifies something, and afterwards, in retrospect, you're like, "Oh man, I was just rationalizing my bad behavior." Right? Like you do something you shouldn't have done. Maybe you're trying to lose weight and you eat all this food because you tell yourself, I did some cardio in the morning. And that totally overthrows your weight goals. And let's say you just keep doing that. Or let's say you're social media addicted and you rationalize the behavior away. In other words, the mind is really, really smart at justifying things. What can happen here is you start to justify basically spiraling down. So one thing happens and then you justify the next thing, and then you feel bad, and then you feel worse, and then you feel I'm a failure anyway, it wasn't going to work, it wasn't going to work out, I'm just going to give up. And so you can start to see this pattern of a negative or unwholesome attitude really forming here, isn't it? Isn't that interesting? So the thing I'm going to talk about in this video is, are you using it as an excuse to justify burning it all down? Are you using it as an excuse to justify spiraling down? And this process is so insidious. The mind really is, right? The examples I gave you before, weight loss or some type of addiction, those are common things, and we think, oh, that isn't us because we're healthy and we live good lives. But that simple justification could be stopping you, preventing you from taking the actions you want to take in your life, taking different business decisions, all sorts of things, simply from justifications that your mind's created. So when we become a little bit conscious of this, we can really be interested and surprised by the sort of content that arises here, because all sorts of things will arise from this pattern. And just by looking into it and questioning it and being more conscious of the thoughts, we can start to examine the process, and we can see the process, and then we can ask ourselves, what's keeping this process from being here? What's keeping this process from being here and the same? Because there is something, usually, that is keeping the process stuck. It may be some stuck emotions in the body. It may be that there wasn't a cognitive understanding of the situation, a cognitive understanding of where you want to go, how you want to relate to the situation, and these things can all be keeping the process from staying. And by asking what's keeping this process from being here, we move out of this victim or blame comparison state of like, oh, this sucks. This is here. This is coming up for me. I'm stuck. And we move out of that to like, okay, how is this process being here? It moves you into a state of greater openness and wholeness, and also curiosity, and looking into the process and examining the process, understanding the process slightly better.